A man once found a strange board game washed up on a beach. He had no idea that this ordinary-looking game was anything but ordinary. He took it home and gave it to his son Alex. The game was called Jumanji. During the day, it looked like a simple board game. But once night fell, something strange happened. The game changed. It transformed into a video game. Curious about the mysterious game, Alex decided to try it. But the moment he started playing, something unbelievable happened. The game pulled him inside. Alex vanished without a trace. His family searched everywhere, but he was simply gone. Years passed. The empty house eventually became known around town as a haunted house. People were afraid to even go near it, but nobody knew what had really happened to Alex. 20 years later, four completely different high school students crossed paths. The first was Spencer. He was skinny, nervous, and extremely smart. He was the kind of student who always got perfect grades. His best friend Fridge was the complete opposite. Fridge was big, athletic, and popular, but he hated schoolwork. Whenever he had an assignment, he preferred finding someone else to do it. And unfortunately for Spencer, that someone was usually him. With an important paper due, Fridge pressured Spencer into doing the work. Spencer didn't have the courage to refuse, so he finished the entire paper for him. But their plan didn't last long. The teacher discovered what happened. Fridge was about to get into serious trouble. Trying to protect his best friend, Spencer took the blame. Meanwhile, another student named Martha was dealing with her own problems. Martha was one of the smartest students in school. She cared about her grades and took her future seriously. But there was one class she absolutely hated, gym. She thought sports were pointless. She didn't understand why she needed to run around and play games when she could be studying. The gym teacher wasn't impressed with her attitude. Then there was Bethany. Bethany lived for social media. She loved taking selfies. Every photo had to be edited perfectly before she posted it. Then she would sit there waiting for the likes to appear. Even during important moments at school, she couldn't stop checking her phone. The four students were completely different, but one mistake brought them together. The principal punished all four of them with after-school detention. Their assignment was simple. They had to clean out an old computer room. At first, they had no interest in working together, but while cleaning the room, Fridge discovered something unusual. It was an old video game console. Inside was a strange game called Jumanji. Fridge immediately became interested. Instead of cleaning, he convinced the others to play. The game offered 5 different characters, but one character had already been selected. Fridge chose a powerful zoologist. Spencer picked an explorer. Bethany chose the attractive female character. Martha didn't want to play at first, but eventually, she picked the last remaining character. Then the game started. A strange drumbeat filled the room. Before any of them could react, the console began pulling them inside. In seconds, all 4 students disappeared. When Spencer opened his eyes, everything was different. He wasn't skinny anymore. He had become a huge, muscular man. Fridge had become a short, awkward-looking man. Martha had transformed into a fit and attractive female fighter. And Bethany had become a short, overweight middle-aged man. They had completely switched bodies. At first, they couldn't believe what had happened. Then they noticed something even stranger. Each character had 3 life bars on their wrist. Before they could understand what those meant, a massive hippo suddenly charged toward them. Everyone panicked. Bethany was swallowed. The others ran for their lives. But moments later, Bethany suddenly dropped from the sky. She landed safely on the ground. That's when they discovered the first major rule of Jumanji. Dying didn't mean game over. It only cost 1 life. An NPC soon appeared and rescued them. He explained that they were inside a cursed world. The only way home was to complete the mission. Their objective was to find a giant jewel. Then they had to return it to a massive jaguar statue. Once the jewel was placed back on the statue, the game would be completed. But there was one major problem. The jungle was controlled by a dangerous man named Russell. Years earlier, Russell had entered the jungle searching for treasure. He discovered the mysterious jewel and refused to give it up. After taking the jewel for himself, the jungle fell into darkness. Russell gained the ability to control wild animals. Eventually, someone stole the jewel from him. Now Russell wanted it back, and the 4 players were the only people who could return it to the statue. The NPC handed them a map and disappeared, but when they opened the map, it looked completely blank. Bethany quickly figured out why. It wasn't really blank. It was a fog of war map. Areas they explored would become visible. Everything else would remain hidden. The players then discovered another important rule. Every character had unique abilities. Spencer's character was an expert climber. He was also extremely fast. He could use a boomerang, and he even had a special intimidating stare. Martha's character was a powerful fighter. She also had an unusual ability called combat dancing, but poison was her weakness. Bethany's character was excellent at cartography and archaeology, but his stamina was terrible. Fridge had the worst abilities of all. He was weak and slow, and one of his biggest weaknesses was cake. The 4 players barely had time to understand their abilities before enemies appeared. The game had officially started. Spencer immediately told everyone to run. He sprinted ahead. Bethany tried to keep up, but his character quickly ran out of stamina. He slowed down. The enemies got closer. Martha jumped into the fight. She easily defeated several attackers. Spencer threw his boomerang. It flew far away. For a moment, he thought he had lost it. Then the boomerang suddenly came flying back. The group continued running until they reached a cliff. There was nowhere else to go, so they jumped. After climbing back up, Martha realized she'd been shot during the battle. Suddenly, her body disappeared. A few seconds later, she fell from the sky. Now they finally understood the life bars. Martha had lost 1 life, Bethany had already lost one too. They each had only 2 lives remaining. Spencer and Fridge still had all 3. The group continued moving, but Fridge soon discovered another problem. He needed to use the bathroom. Unfortunately, he had no idea how to do that in his new body. Bethany had the same problem, so Fridge had to explain how everything worked. The two of them struggled for a while. Eventually, Bethany finally figured it out. During the journey, Bethany also began to understand Martha better. She had always assumed Martha hated her. Martha was constantly studying and rarely spoke to her. But after they finally talked honestly, Bethany learned the truth. Martha never hated her. She was simply afraid of being rejected, so she acted cold first. That way, nobody could reject her before she rejected them. The misunderstanding disappeared, but another argument soon broke out. Fridge was still angry about what had happened in the real world. Spencer had tried to help him cheat, but the plan failed. Fridge was eventually kicked off the football team. Spencer was angry too. He felt that Fridge only came to him whenever he needed something. Fridge never wanted to do his own work. Even writing one simple paper felt like too much effort. Their argument became so serious that Fridge pushed Spencer off a cliff. Spencer died. Then he respawned. But this time, he wasn't willing to let Fridge control him. Fridge tried to fight him again. Spencer easily defeated him. He reminded Fridge that they couldn't keep wasting lives. If they wanted to go home, they had to work together. The group continued toward the next location. Eventually, they reached a busy marketplace. They decided to stop and eat. Bethany bought some cake. Fridge started eating it too. At first, nothing happened. Then Fridge remembered his character's weakness: cake. He kept eating anyway. Suddenly, his body collapsed. Fridge died. A moment later, he respawned. Now they knew for certain. Cake was really his weakness, and Fridge had lost another life. The group continued searching for the missing piece of the map. An NPC eventually led them into another room. Inside was another strange puzzle. The clue told them to trust one another. It also warned them not to blink. They started searching for the answer. Spencer opened a basket. A black mamba suddenly appeared. Fridge immediately started explaining everything he knew about the snake. Bethany misunderstood the clue and thought the challenge was some kind of staring contest. He stared directly at the snake. The snake nearly attacked him. Spencer quickly grabbed it. Working together, they finally controlled the snake. But there was no map piece inside the basket. Instead, they found an elephant carving. There was also a message telling them that when they saw the elephant, it was time to climb. Meanwhile, Russell already knew where they were. A group of vultures spotted the players. Russell sent his men after them. The 4 players were surrounded. Spencer charged directly into the battle. His character's strength made him extremely powerful. He knocked down several enemies. But then Russell arrived with even more men. The players were completely surrounded. Just when everything seemed hopeless, someone threw a smoke bomb. The group escaped into an underground tunnel. But the tunnel was filled with deadly traps. First, they had to dodge giant spears. Then they had to avoid swinging blades. Finally, they reached a bridge filled with crocodiles. They barely made it across. On the other side, they discovered a hidden shelter. There, they met a mysterious pilot. This pilot was actually the 5th playable character. He had been trapped inside Jumanji for years, but he had no idea exactly how long he'd been there. Time worked differently inside the game. The pilot explained that the cabin belonged to a man named Alan. Alan had entered Jumanji decades earlier. He had been trapped inside for more than 20 years. The pilot had tried to escape many times, but one difficult level always stopped him. And now he had only 1 life left. Bethany finally understood why the NPC had sent them there. They needed all 5 characters together. Only then could they complete the mission. Their next target was a heavily guarded enemy base. The pilot had watched the guards for a long time. He knew they regularly left the area. Bethany thought she could distract them, but her current body made that impossible. So Martha had to take her place. Martha had never flirted with anyone before. Bethany quickly taught her how to attract the guards' attention. Walk confidently. Move like you're on a runway. Play with your hair. Use your eyes. Then put everything together. Martha walked toward the guards. But the moment they looked at her, she forgot everything. Her movements were completely awkward. The others had no idea what she was doing. Then music suddenly started playing. Martha remembered her special ability, combat dancing. She began dancing. The guards became completely distracted. The others slipped into the base. Soon, the guards heard something. They turned around, but Martha took them down one by one. Russell realized his guards had failed. He sent even more enemies. At the last second, the pilot arrived with a helicopter. Everyone climbed aboard. The helicopter took off, but enemy fire quickly damaged the control system. The helicopter began losing control. Then they heard the familiar drums. A massive herd of rhinos started chasing them. Spencer climbed outside the helicopter. He had to repair the damaged system. A cliff was directly ahead. The rhinos were right behind him. Spencer barely had enough time. At the last second, he reconnected the system. The helicopter regained control. Everyone escaped. But they soon discovered another problem. The jewel was missing. The pilot had accidentally dropped it during the escape. Without it, they couldn't complete the mission. So they had to turn around. The jewel was lying in an area surrounded by rhinos. Getting it back seemed impossible. Then Spencer noticed that Fridge still had 2 lives. He created a risky plan. Fridge would distract the rhinos. Spencer would grab the jewel. Fridge ran toward them. The rhinos immediately chased him. Spencer used the distraction to reach the jewel. Fridge was trampled, but he respawned. At the same moment, the pilot tilted the helicopter. Spencer jumped aboard. For the first time in decades, the pilot successfully passed through the dangerous canyon. But another problem appeared. A mosquito bit the pilot. Mosquitoes were his character's weakness. His body began shutting down. His final life was disappearing. Bethany immediately tried to save him. Then something incredible happened. One of Bethany's own lives began disappearing. She was giving her life to the pilot. Bethany refused to stop. Eventually, the pilot came back to life. But Bethany was left with only one life. Meanwhile, Spencer had become much more confident. In the real world, he had always been too nervous to tell Martha how he felt. But inside Jumanji, he had changed. He finally admitted that he liked her. Martha felt the same way. She didn't care about his muscular game body. She liked the real Spencer. The two finally became a couple. The group continued toward the final target. Eventually, they reached the giant jaguar statue. The game opened a path directly toward it, but the players didn't trust it. They knew Jumanji loved setting traps. Spencer remembered the earlier clue. Instead of following the obvious path, he climbed through the trees. He grabbed the jewel, but a tiny squirrel suddenly startled him. Spencer lost his grip. He fell. A group of jaguars immediately attacked him. Spencer lost another life, but the jewel stayed with him. They discovered another important rule. Anything collected before death stayed with the player after respawning. Unfortunately, Spencer now had only one life remaining. His confidence disappeared. Fridge gave him some simple advice. Everyone only gets one life. The important thing is what you do with it. Spencer finally understood. He regained his courage. The 5 players created one final plan. Russell sent another wave of enemies. Everyone used their special abilities. Spencer took the middle route. Fridge went another way. Martha stayed behind to slow the enemies. The pilot distracted the jaguars. The others moved toward the statue. At first, the plan worked, but there were too many enemies. Martha was captured. Spencer rushed back to rescue her. Then he jumped onto a motorcycle. He raced toward the statue. The jaguars chased him. Spencer used a flamethrower to create a wall of fire. The jaguars backed away. Meanwhile, Fridge continued forward. He suddenly encountered an elephant. Because his character was a zoologist, he knew exactly how to handle it. The elephant became his ally. Bethany wasn't so lucky. His body was too heavy. He couldn't move quickly. A jaguar caught him. Russell took him hostage. Russell demanded the jewel, but Spencer refused. Russell started counting down. Spencer still wouldn't give it to him. Then he revealed the truth. He didn't have the jewel. The players had secretly switched it earlier. The real jewel was with Fridge. At that moment, Fridge arrived riding the elephant. The elephant charged through the jaguars. The animals scattered. Russell lost control. He fired his weapon. The elephant panicked. During the chaos, the jewel flew onto a high platform. The players finally understood the clue. They needed the elephant. They needed to climb. Spencer headed toward the statue. Martha went after the jewel, but the jewel landed inside a nest filled with snakes. Poison was Martha's weakness. Even so, she jumped into the snake pit. Russell arrived and demanded the jewel. Spencer was almost at the top of the statue. Then Martha came up with a desperate plan. If a snake killed her, she would respawn, and anything she had collected would remain with her. So Martha allowed the snake to bite her. Her final life disappeared. At the perfect moment, Spencer grabbed the jewel. He climbed to the top. He placed the jewel back onto the jaguar statue. But nothing happened. The game still wasn't finished. Bethany suddenly realized what they had forgotten. They needed to say the name of the game. All 5 players shouted it together. The game finally ended. The curse was broken. The mission was complete. The players were finally going home. Before they left, the pilot said goodbye. Fridge couldn't wait to return to his normal body. Spencer was the only one who seemed hesitant. Inside Jumanji, he had become a completely different person. Back in the real world, he would once again be skinny and nervous. But Martha reminded him that Jumanji was only a game. His real life was waiting outside. Spencer finally said goodbye. The 4 students returned to the real world, but there was still one mystery. What happened to Alex? They went to the old house, but the haunted house was gone. Instead, they found a beautiful home, and standing there was Alex. Only now, he was a middle-aged man. He had a wife. He also had a daughter. When Alex saw the 4 students, he immediately understood. Time worked differently inside Jumanji. When the game ended, players returned to the exact moment they had entered. Alex had returned 20 years later. His entire future had changed. Then Bethany discovered something even more touching. Alex had named his daughter Bethany. He chose the name after the girl who had saved his life inside the game. After everything they had experienced, the 4 students became true friends. Spencer finally had the courage to tell Martha how he felt. But then they heard something familiar. The drums started playing again. Jumanji was starting up once more. The 4 friends immediately knew what that meant. They couldn't let another person get trapped inside. This time, they didn't want another adventure. They didn't want another game. They had finally learned the lesson Jumanji was trying to teach them. Real life might be difficult. It might be scary. It might not come with extra lives. But that's exactly what makes it worth living. So instead of playing Jumanji again, they decided to destroy the game. For the first time, they understood that they didn't need a fantasy world to become better versions of themselves. They had already changed. And this time, they chose real life over the game.